Hello, my friends. I would like to present these thoughts to you. In Eastern martial arts, when you are facing an opponent that is much bigger and more powerful than you, what do? You do not attempt in any way to block that person's force, because they're much bigger and powerful, more powerful than you. So instead, you subvert their force. You actually help them along to maintain their momentum and then to direct it where you want. So the big guy comes at you and throws, much bigger than you, throws a big punch, and instead of trying to block it, you step to the side, you grab and you pull him along. You help him along in his own momentum. And this pulls him off balance eventually to his own demise and to your victory. This I learned very young because I trained in martial arts, and also I read the book The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Yes? In which he says that the highest form of warfare is not fighting at all. It is essentially subversion. It is to hijack the momentum that your enemy has already established themselves. Okay? Now, let us relate this to the current state of the world. We hear a lot now, the narrative is crumbling, that the lies are coming out, and people are, I see people are thinking that they've achieved some kind of victory against this, or that there's some kind of, the war is over kind of thing. And it makes me a little bit sad, because I know that people are letting their guard down in a way, but more so, they just don't understand the power of subversion, okay? They, or the council, or the cult, or Illuminati, or whatever you want to call them, okay? But they, with a capital T, they do not have the power to actively dictate every single event that is happening in the world. Okay, they don't have that kind of power. There's too much variables, there's too much chance involved in all of this. So instead, they will use the tools they have, which are vast, all forms of media, which is the most unbelievable tool. The media can rape your mind. So they will use the media and all other forms, all other tools that they have at their disposal to hijack the momentum of a movement or of an organization or whatever that has already been established, and then help it along, eventually to its own demise. So some examples are, do you remember way back in the day when the hippies were they stood for free love and freedom of expression and down with the man and free speech, all of this anti-war? That's really what the movement began as in the 60s and 70s, yes? Over time, and definitely this past couple of years, that entire energy, that entire movement has been hijacked, subverted. Until now, those people that used to be all about free speech and free love and the wearing the tie-dye and they're all the yada yada, are now the ones that are begging for censorship, extreme censorship, and deletion of choice. They're the ones insisting on tyrannical mandates and things of this nature. They're the ones insisting that other people's free speech be deleted, because now it's called misinformation or whatever term they've used. Look into the nature of things, and you will see this as well. It's been subverted, completely hijacked. Another place that we see subversion on a global scale is when it comes to the climate change. Yes? And this is so tragic in my heart and mind. So the actual thing, what is actually happening, is that we as a civilization have and are continuing to poison the planet to death. Okay? We live on a finite planet with a finite number of resources. Yet we have developed and established economies and civilizations that are founded upon and built upon the idea of infinite growth, of unlimited expansion, unchecked consumption of as many resources as we can possibly stomach and handle. Just keep it flowing. Just grow at any cost. That's the ideology of the modern world economy. I know, I've been around the world. I've seen the destruction, the unimaginable destruction. And any creature that destroys the habitat that sustains it and depletes its resource base faster than it can be replenished is doomed. Absolutely doomed. And yet we're doing it at a rate as fast as humanly possible, consuming every resource we possibly can, and for nothing, for virtually nothing. How it's not making anyone happier. It's not making anyone more fulfilled. It's not connecting the human energies or the human spirits. It's not opening channels of love or any of that. It's just consuming. It's the opposite of all of that. It's replaced the open-hearted spiritual nature with the dead, lifeless God of consumerism. Yes? Now, we have and are continuing to poison the planet and destroy the ecosystem that sustains us, all right? That's the reality. Now, it's been subverted, okay, to be all about climate change and thus all about carbon allowance, carbon capture, carbon this and that, carbon taxes, carbon blah, blah, blah. When that is just a symptom. Climate change is just a symptom of a much greater issue that is happening. Yet, through subversion, we are being led to believe it's all about, well, we got to keep below 1.6, but 1.42, and then the numbers might go up to 1.864, and then the blah blah. It's completely classic misdirection, because the subversion to the carbon and all of this, that will still allow business as usual, just in a different form. Oh, electric, or just all of this. It never gets to the issue, to the root issue, which is that we have to degrow as a civilization. We have overpopulated, we have overconsumed, we have poisoned, all of these things. It is a terminal diagnosis, my friends, for our current way of life. And that's okay. That's the thing. For a lot of people will hear this message that I'm saying right now, and they will say, well, that's pessimistic, and there's no hope in that. But there is. It's the only hope. There is. We have to let the current way of doing things, we have to let that die. It's time. And only then, once we come to terms with that, can a new world begin to emerge. But everything that is happening right now is just taking the inertia, the momentum of what is already there, and subverting it and deflecting it from what is actually important. My friends, what is in the future for us, whether we like it or not, is a radical transformation of our lifestyles. Radical. Whether we like it or not, it's going to happen. Because you cannot, let us say we have $1 million in the bank, okay? And the bank account has a 5% interest return, okay, which is incredibly high and unrealistic, but let's just say 5% interest on $1 million, okay? That would be $50,000 a year. Now, if you lived in such a way that you spent $30,000, $20,000, $30,000, even $40,000 a year, then you would never touch the principal, and your principal would actually grow. It would actually grow, okay? So you could live theoretically forever in that system, all right? But now let us assume that you get greedy and you all of a sudden have to live on 60 or 160,000 a year. Now all of a sudden, the ability of that principal to sustain you is diminishing at an increasing rate until eventually you will go to make a withdrawal and there won't be anything there. And in an ecological sense, that is where we are now. We have, up until now, the machine has been running all right because we've had this massive surplus, this massively wealthy bank account of natural resources for over millions of years that have acquired over millions of years. Yet in the past 100 years, really 200 years, we have been making massive withdrawals, enormous, unimaginable withdrawals from that account. And so the day of reckoning is on its way. The current way of doing things cannot be sustained. And so I'm not going to offer any kind of, there's not a hopeful message at the end of this, my friends. There's not. And there's no, I'm not going to present any kind of solutions, okay? I want you to come up with some. What do you think would be a possible solution to this predicament? Remember, it's not a problem. That's the main thing. The current, everything I'm saying, we have no problem, all right? A problem can be solved. This cannot be solved. A predicament is what we are in. A predicament you have to deal with, okay? And the day of reckoning is coming, my friends. Okay, so let me know what you think about this little rant. But I just wanted to put this out there because I'm seeing a lot of people are talking about, oh yeah, the things are going back to normal, or the narrative is crumbling, or we've got some kind of victory and all that, blah blah blah. And that's great and everything, but my friends, you have to be more keen than that. Don't be so naive. Any movement is open to subversion. Okay, it's open to being hijacked and then directed in whatever way, all right? Okay, my friends. Remember, I got a second channel where I'm doing all of the narratives that will illustrate the story of how I came to have this perspective that I have on the world. Yes? So like and subscribe to that channel as well, okay?